along. Let me get into this right here, and then this is going to lead to some other things. Okay. So yesterday, I took some time off to do a little bit of light shopping, and I went to a plaza and I was walking around, trying to get my steps in, taking my time. It was hot, but the weather was beautiful. So I got a phone call from my husband, and I knew that he was going to PetSmart because he said he wanted to get some more fish for his fish tank. So I said, okay, well, I'm gonna go over here and do a little light shopping and everything. I'll meet you back at the house. Okay, cool. So he called me while he was there, and he was telling me that one of the employees at PetSmart was, she had a really funky attitude with him. And so what happened was he ordered it's a little bitty small fish, I think minnows or something like that. And then he wanted some other kind of fish, right? So the lady told him that the fish tank that he has wasn't big enough. And she was like, your tank is not big enough. But he was like, how do you know what kind of tank I have in my home? So anyway, he called me and asked me to come and, you know, try to figure out what was going on. So the whole way I was going over there, I was praying. I was like, Lord, first of all, don't let the people call the police on Chris, because then I'm gonna be really angry. So I had my phone in my hand when I got out the car. And when I tell you I had that Kia on two wheels trying to get there, oh, I got there fast. So anyway, I went in and I saw Chris, and I saw that the lady was she was there, but Chris was just standing there by herself, right? So when I got there, um, she was helping some other people, but Chris said that she gave him the minnows, but she wouldn't let him have the other fish, saying that his fish tank wasn't big enough. So I was like, well, how would she know what size fish tank you have? And the fish tanks that they have in the store is they're really small. So anyway, she was trying to get smart. So me being who I am, because I don't play the radio in these kind of situations. I went in there with my phone out, and so she asked me, "Did I need help?" I said, "Yes, I need this type of fish, and this is how many I need." And I looked at Chris and I said, "What colors do you want?" So she asked me, "Is your fish tank set up?" And I said, "Yes, it is." And I'm like, "What you gonna do? Who are you, the fish tank police? You coming to my house to see if my fish tank is set up or not?" So anyway, she put the fish in the bag, and then instead of giving it to me in my hand, she laid it on the counter and walked off. So I said, "What is your name, ma'am?" And she didn't respond. So Chris said, "What is your name? And I need your first and last name." She says, "I gave it to you earlier and you don't need the last name." And then she walked to the front of the store and went back in the room where they groom the pets at, in that little door right there. So I said, okay. So when we got up to the cashier was very nice. How's your day going? Blah, blah, blah. Uh, put in Chris's phone number, his name come up. Chris has spent thousands and thousands of dollars at this particular PetSmart store. That's where he gets his fish from and anything else he needs. He goes to this particular PetSmart. But the first of all, when I got there, it looked like she had just got out of the bed. She didn't comb her hair. Her uniform was dirty, filthy, and it hadn't been that long since they opened. And the rudeness, even if she did have an issue with Chris, which she should not have. I was a new customer, and she was even rude and slick mouth with me. Needless to say, um, Chris asked for the manager. She said, "I'm the supervisor." And I'm like, wow, what kind of people do they have working here now? And it's just the fact that he told me that when she gave him the minnows, and then she said that you don't have a fish tank big enough, she started helping other people, which, were not people that looked like him, and she ignored him. She didn't come back and say, "Hey, is there something else? I'm not going to sell you these. Is there something else I can help you get?" She didn't say any of that. She just started helping other people. And then when I came in there and I saw her helping other people and I saw him standing by himself, I was like, well, let me find out what's going on before I really snap, crackle, and pop up in here and both of us end up in jail. Let me just be cool. I already said my prayers. And when you go in there, black people, we know when we go in there how we get treated in these stores sometimes. and they have to, you get that undertone of that racism, which I don't like, right? None of us like that, and it's not fair to treat us like that. But when she bagged those fish and laid them on that thing instead of giving them to me in my hand, I said, okay, so we got one of those. So, needless to say, I'm not gonna call her name or tell you which store, but I know how to report this type of behavior, and it ain't through Google. And I go a little bit better than that. So you never know who knows who, and treat all people with respect and kindness, especially when we're spending our hard-earned money. Our money is green, just like everyone else's. And speaking of incidents and things, if you look at my Facebook page, you will see where there were those what do you call them people? White supremacists passing out anti-Semitic flyers, right? So they were not arrested, but they were written up, given a ticket, I guess, for littering, for passing them out in neighborhoods, leaving them at people's homes. The only way they could be arrested is if they refuse to give their identification, from what I saw in the video. So there was a black guy who was an officer there, and that white supremacist proceeded to call him an N word, F word, N word, N word, and then said he was being intimidated and all this other stuff, trying to provoke the guy. But shout out to the officer. He kept his cool, and I was in my mind thinking he probably gets called the N word every day while he's at work. You never know. Just like nurses and doctors, you have some of them and their family take them to the hospital or to a nursing home, and they don't like black people. They don't want help from no black people, and get called the N word day in and day out. Probably used to it. It's a shame, but hey, that's just the times we are in still. So anyway, and then there's another thing that I must comment on. There's going to be a meeting, I think March 20th, at the Riviera Beach Marina Event Center in the Hatcher Room, where the scuba divers will be meeting with the Florida Department of Transportation. I believe it's at 6 p.m., 5:30 or 6. And their complaint is the Blue Heron Bridge will undergo some, renovations. They'll be repairing the potholes and cracks and all whatever. And so the Florida Department of Transportation has say, hey, while we are repairing the bridge, nobody can go under there. So the divers usually go under the bridge, to go in the water right there, especially right on the very end where you come down the bridge if you're going east, and right under the bridge there is where they usually go into the water on that end, close to the, when you make the left turn to the traffic light and you go inside the park, on the very end right there is where they usually go into the water and sit up there, take all the tables and benches, put their equipment, and go into the water. So they've been put on notice that nobody on that end will be allowed in the water. They have to walk up to the stoplight, cross the street, and then go down the stairs on the other side of the bridge in order to access the water so they can dive. So they have a big problem with that. And they're saying, hey, instead of closing all of the area under the bridge, why don't you just close off, the other side, down there where the small bridge is, where you can fish. And then when you get to that little side on the far east side under the bridge, leave that open for us. Let us continue to go under there. You can run everybody else out, but let us have this spot here. So right now, FDOT has said, what you're gonna do is you're gonna go around, cross the street, and go down the stairs. And I'm thinking about going to that meeting. And I want to tell them so bad. Hi, divers. How does it feel to be me? You won't be allowed into there. How does it feel to be me? To have to take the long way and not be allowed under there. So I'm not sure if you guys remember my saga with Phil Foster Park when me and my husband was having back to school event, not no book bag giveaway or nothing, but just a fun day at the beach. And they made us move for those scuba divers because they were under there. It happened 2 times in a year. The second time I had to call the cavalry and get some help. But now they are complaining because the bridge will be repaired, and under there they will the Florida Department of Transportation will have construction equipment under there. And they are mad. The scuba divers are mad because they have to move. They are still allowed to use the parking lot, but they won't be allowed to enter the water from underneath the bridge. They have to go around to the other side. So the complaint is, oh, my scuba gear. Oh, it's going to be hot. Oh, the gear is going to be so heavy. How are we going to do it? You only get 23 seconds to cross the street. And again, I say, how does it feel to be me? All right.